Whenever it gets cold here, this garage door won't open all the way. It stops around 2/3 of the way up. This year in Ohio, we got our first freeze October 18th. It's pretty typical for any part of the Midwest, besides if you're, North Dakota, Minnesota, or northern Michigan, Wisconsin area. Those areas tend to get freezes a little bit sooner, maybe late September, early October. But for a lot of the Midwest, mid-October is the first freeze you get. And Ohio, we got our first freeze October 18th for this part of the state anyways, because the thing you want to realize is about the Midwest is, it's a great place to raise a family. Ohio is typical of the Midwest, where there's a lot of places in rural areas with a lot of good infrastructure where you can build a house, and basically that's true for the majority of the Midwest. And that's something that's not typical in all parts of the country, because a lot of parts of the country have like mountains where it's impossible to build a house, or the desert, they don't have road access. So Ohio and a lot of the Midwest, you can build houses. In rural areas, also there's a lot of good small towns with great people in them. And a lot of good jobs in the Midwest in urban and rural areas. So because of the agriculture, we have an election coming up, and majority of the Midwest are swing states. Indiana generally votes Republican, and you probably think of most of the Midwest as being Republican, which I would say most Midwest is generally Republican, but a lot of the states are swing states. North Dakota, South Dakota are pretty small states, but you might see them from time to time vote for a Democrat over Republican in the presidential election. And also, Ohio is probably the biggest swing state that there is out in the Union, and it's a big state to be in during the election. And me personally, I generally vote for Republicans, as I might have mentioned in a few of my previous videos. If I had more similar political ideologies to a Democrat than I did the Republican candidate, I would vote for a Democrat. Of course, that's never happened, but I think it potentially could. So I think the Midwest, is a great place to raise a family. It's a good place to just live, and there's a lot of things to do in the Midwest. The Great Lakes and Cedar Point, a lot of good farm country, and a lot of pretty scenery in the Midwest. A lot of good cities that aren't corrupted by the mainstream media, which is a big issue we're facing in today's modern political climate, is the mainstream media.